So, welcome to Sisters Let's Talk podcast. This episode is very special to me. Why? Because I'm the one interviewing, I'm the one being curious, I'm the one asking the questions. So, I am super excited. Su- super excited. But welcome. I'm your host, Fumi, and this is my co host, Lucia.
In the hot seat, Lucia. I
So,
always forget when I give her permission. I always forget. I do it so innocently, and then yeah, but it's all good.
oh, good. I'm just curious. Actually, that's my hat. Curious. And the listeners, you have to listen so you'll figure out why I am the curious one in this.
Hmm.
Because so let's start by saying going home bends the mind. So if you are a listener and we talk to the woman that has left home and has made home in a new area or a new place in life, and we're really trying to make life work with both cultures for the most part. So going home bends the mind because it's almost like an emotional time travel. It
Emotional
pulls you
time
between
bomb.
who you were, who you are, and who you thought you'd be. So it's when you return home or when you see the same places, right, through a new lens, you've seen yourself in that place. It forces you to hold two truths at once. I'm the same person, but I'm not. So this is me trying to live through Lucia's recent travel back home. You have a sister friend who you can talk to about your imperfections, vulnerabilities, uncensored truths, journeys, and victories. Welcome to the lounge. So, this is my curious self, just asking. Hi, Lucia, how are you?
And she wants to know, am I the same person or not? Welcome to the Sisters Let's Talk podcast lounge. Well,
So,
my complexion has changed. I'm very well tanned.
yeah, we can see that.
Like I'm three toned, not two toned. I'm now three toned.
We can see that. So, I always start with the emotional part of things because I want to know
Knock yourself
what's
out.
the first emotion when you stepped down on the soil? Like, it's been a couple years, a few years.
A few years. 7 to be exact. Tell us when we got married, when we went for our
Okay.
wedding.
So, what's the emotion?
You
What
mean
does it
like,
feel like? Stepping down the plane, you're home.
to be honest, the first thing was, oh, nice airport. Because now we have the new
Hmm.
airport.
Mhm.
I think my emotion had not landed yet.
Mm,
Be- because the main reason for me going home was to surprise my mom. So I was still like waiting to get home. So I was still in go mode.
okay.
But when the plane landed, it was like, oh, I am home.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a
And
relief,
there was a relief. How was the travel? How many hours?
right? So
I guess
I
it
used Brussels. So Brussels Airlines. So there were like 4 or 5 hours in between transits. I
okay.
transited twice,
So
and
your
then there was a
total
1 hour.
time.
Well, okay, I left. My first flight was like 4 p.m. or something like that, and then I
Okay.
arrived like 7 p.m. the next day. So I left Tuesday, 4 p.m. arrives Wednesday, 7 p.m., which would
So
be like
that's
3
28
p.m.
hours,
still. Yeah. Well, give or take 24, because if
24
you,
hours.
yeah, time
Okay.
zone. Yeah.
Time zone conversion. Okay. So about
Yeah.
24 hours travel.
Hmm.
So that's already one day off your full vacation, your full vacation.
Well,
So,
that is part of my vacation for me, the travel.
yeah,
Like I
you like
enjoy it
traveling.
as a, yeah.
And the flights were okay. The flights were as you expected them.
Yeah, the flights was fine, except I missed my what would that be? Lunch. I missed my lunch from Brussels to, this is a funny story, from Brussels to Freetown because I fell asleep. I was trying to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I fell asleep, and I was hoping that the guy next to me will be awake when they're coming down with the food and will just, be a good neighbor and tap me. He fell asleep. I fell asleep with Miss Lunch.
You didn't go ask for lunch?
Sometimes it depends on the air hostesses. They could be very, sometimes, especially if
Mm-hmm.
they're on a time thingy. But we
Mm-hmm.
got we were able to get, so the snack came by and he was wide awake and he tapped me like, snack. So, but it was smooth. There was no issues really. I didn't
Okay.
get There were no delays either.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to know considering. Um so sometimes I want to say sometimes going home doesn't show you where you came from, right? Um or where you've come from. So my question,
Mm.
what was your first impression on your way home, or your first impression, like the drive to see mom, like what was in your brain or your thoughts at that time, like
I
the
think
things that you see on the way, or is it like, oh my gosh, this looks different, or like what's that?
it was two things. The
Mhm.
first thing was, because usually going home, depending on where you're going, the transportation, if there might be ease or not. But for me, it
Mhm.
was very straightforward. Not promoting anyone, but the coach that I use, like everything was seamless.
Okay.
S- Back in the day, there was always, too many hecklers, but this was
Mhm.
straightforward. In fact, they had my name up. They were waving it, Lucia. I
Ooh,
was like, ooh.
that's bougie.
I was like, ooh. No, because I paid ahead
Okay.
instead of when I get there to pay for the boat, right?
Okay.
So I think I done that before.
Mhm.
They never had the names up. So
Okay.
this is like, I wasn't expecting it. And then the ride to the port itself. So the
Okay.
bus picks you up. You could either go by
Mhm.
bus, collective bus, or they
Mhm.
pick you up privately if you want to ride in your own private vehicle. I was like, no, I'm not paying that extra money. And so the bus takes you to the port with every other passenger that is going on this boat. And
Mhm.
so the first thing is, this is straightforward, seamless, no hassle at all.
Okay. Okay.
I wasn't like looking for luggage or worried about where anything was, or where am I
Mhm.
supposed to pay, or okay, the scanner is not working, nothing like that. Then the second
Okay.
thing was on the bus, because now by the time we got out it was dark. So
Mhm.
on the ride you're passing the smaller villages to go to
Okay.
the port. And then
Mhm.
I hear it's the familiar. And you hear the hecklers, and someone
Mhm.
has a megaphone. Watadeo, watadeo. And then I was like, yes, I'm
Yes,
home.
I'm home. Oh, see, I wanted to catch that. Okay, I'm home
Yep,
moment
yep.
because
That
like
was
there's
when, yep,
something.
yep.
Yes.
That was when I was like, yep,
Yep.
I'm home.
Cool.
And
Good. I'm glad
they've
I came
taken it
back
to
to.
another level. It's not the
Uh-huh.
voice anymore. They have this thing recorded on the megaphone
So
that
it
keeps
just keeps
looping.
going. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I've seen some of those on TV. Um, so going home, how did the surprise go with mom?
Well, my brother picked me up,
Mm-hmm.
so he was on the other side waiting, and we drove home. And I guess maybe 5-10 minutes prior to my arrival, electricity had gone out. So I got there, it was dark ish. But the other thing that they've all perfected now is there are no more candles or lanterns. It's all solar
Oh,
lamps. So
oh,
it always looks bright, even if it's not electricity,
okay.
until electricity comes back on, or if someone has a generator, etc. So we were going up the stairs, and my brother, we're trying to figure out, okay, whose battery, because my battery was dying, his battery, phone's battery was dying. Okay, who's gonna record? My brother was gonna record, so he started recording from the stairs. So it was slightly dark, and then we're like, okay, what do we do? How do we do this? Do you go in first? Do we go in together? Finally, he went in. He's like, I have someone to. I think he said I have a surprise. I have it on record. And then my mom was lying down on the couch, and then she raises her head like, what? I think she was half asleep, like, what? And at the same time, I'm coming in, and she just floored.
Oh,
She never got up. She fell down. She burst into the most
oh,
joyous, sad, everything cry.
surprise cry. Oh,
Yeah. She cried for so I'm like, are you gonna hug me or not? She just cried and bawled and bawled and bawled.
oh, she's just
And
overjoyed. Oh,
and then when she took a break, she's like, you guys wanna kill me? You and your husband and your brother wanna kill me? Oh my gosh. I said, God, I don't have high blood pressure. You're gonna give me a heart attack. Oh my head, oh my God. This was her. Oh my God. My head, my heart is jumping out of my. Okay.
see this girl imitating her mother. I'm not part of this one. But that is the most beautiful thing. You know, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that is hard to explain to somebody that has not had that emotion of being away from home so much,
Mhm.
or even not seeing your loved one for
For
that
that long.
long of a time. Like you talk on the phone, you probably do a video call or
Right,
something
right.
like that. But being in person face to face, it is the most nostalgic,
Hmm.
like peaceful yet so hyped up like it's undescribable.
Yeah.
It's one of those things because I hadn't seen my mom for almost 15 years, and
And
then
then you
she
saw her
came.
in
Then
person.
it's like I could not like I know she was coming, I know it's this, and I still I think I'd practiced the emotions. I've talked myself out of it. Like, I'm not gonna cry, and then I bawled. It's like,
Well, because it's your mom. She didn't
yeah,
give me the chance. She was just, it was just so much crying. It was like, okay, so one of us is not be crying. But I think, you know what, the reason why she bawled so much,
yeah.
aside from the fact that, it's been a while,
Mm-hmm.
because she's been, the entire year, she's been like, oh, I wish I could see you. And then
No.
the day before, apparently, I didn't know. I didn't know. She was having a conversation with Holy Spirit. She's like, I miss my daughter. I wish I could see her. It's been a while. When would I see her? Not knowing. Holy Spirit had
No, you're
already.
oh this it's like,
So when
yep.
this person just showed up, she was so. I think she said when I was sleeping, she turned. She looked. Wait, am I dreaming? Is that Lucia?
Oh,
Or
that
am I
is so
dreaming?
beautiful. That is beautiful. So, what was your feeling? What was your like, I I'm glad I could witness this moment kind of thing? Was that
I think it was a sigh of relief. She was fine. She didn't. I was ready. If she was gonna pass out, I was ready.
You're ready with your what the salt thing that they put
I
on?
was ready. I was ready with my PA hat. I was ready.
Well,
Resting
I'm
moments.
glad it turned out okay. I'm glad it did turn out okay. So let's go into and listeners. I would say I'm curious because I have not, shamefully to say, had the opportunity to go back home, and it can be many reasons. It I can give you
Exactly.
500,000 excuses, which
A lot of people
some of,
haven't
yeah,
for many reasons, right?
we just live vicariously through the ones that go and they tell us all the cool stuff, and then we'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna plan that. But for somebody that is thinking, it's been a while, i've not had I've not had the opportunity to go. What are some of the reasons? Well, I can probably give some of the reasons why you eventually don't go, right? The expenses, family,
For sure.
work, like you don't have anything that really ties you to go. So like for me, my parents are here. Yeah, I have other family back there, but life has not stopped yet
Right,
for me to
right.
like catch and say, okay, now I have it in my 1 day pile, like it's gonna happen, right? So what is that thing that you will say, um, preparing to go home, you will say these are the three things that will make it happen,
That would
or two
make it
things.
happen.
Yeah. Because like you wanted to go, right? You have to have had that conversation, like, I want to do this, right? I still want to do it. But like what are the three things you had to do for it to actually happen that you'll say?
Well, I think you actually mentioned the first thing is the ties. For me, my family is home. For my
Mhm.
husband, his family is home. Both of us
Mhm.
are here together.
Yeah.
That's it. No other
Yeah.
family.
Mhm.
So that alone is a pull. I haven't seen my parents, and we are still a close knit family. So
Yeah.
there's that pull, right?
Mhm.
But okay, why haven't I, or why don't I go every year or every
Mhm.
6 months or whatever? Hmm. Let's be realistic.
Mhm.
The finance. So
Yeah.
to make it happen, the finance.
Yeah.
I feel that the more frequent you go, the less you will spend.
Hmm. Okay.
I mean, your ticket price, that is based on what the market
Yeah.
is at that time. But the more frequent you go, and also, um, I guess the third thing that what would make it happen
Mhm.
is it important? Because obviously, if my family is important, but why am I not going every year?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So there must be something else that's causing, even if it's just going to see family. There's an overriding importance. Some people, they are building a business, they are building a
Yeah.
home,
Mhm.
or they are planning on returning home, relocating
Yeah.
back home. So now they are
Yeah.
starting to do the background work, and
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
those three things.
Are the main reasons. Um, what stood out? If we want to give listeners like a quick, what stood out? You haven't been there for a while. What stood out to you? Experiences.
You know what? I would say three.
Mhm.
There are many, but three.
Yeah.
The first one is, in as much as we still say back home, quote unquote, which is Africa, depending from which region you are, the
Mhm.
progression of things, of modernity, may be a little slower,
Mm.
but they are still making it work. So, for example, the last time I went, the housemaid would have had a phone, but it would have been a Nokia phone,
Mm.
you know. Now they all have smartphones. They're all on TikTok. And I'm like, what? Someone is trying to cook and they're on TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying
It's
now
different.
everyone's
Yeah.
catching on
Yeah.
and is different.
From what you
Um,
left. Yeah.
exactly from what I
Mm-hmm.
left. I think the second thing is no matter what, I think it's the resilience
Mm.
that uh people just find a way. It's hard. Like sometimes I wonder how do they survive? How that little tiny market that they've put out, when you
Mm-hmm.
calculate it, it probably is not even enough to feed, let alone pay rent.
Mm.
But people become innovative, and so there's that resilience there
Okay.
that it makes us, I think this is reflection where you're like, why are you complaining?
Mm.
For example, um if you've been home, even India has it, they call it
Mm-hmm.
something else, keke, which
Mm.
is the three-wheeler,
Yeah. Mode of
right?
transportation. Yeah.
Mode
Kind
of
of. I think they have like
transportation.
it in New York or somewhere or Chicago. I think it's not in Chicago. Yeah.
So, but now, before last time, it was just a
Mm-hmm.
normal, ordinary keke that would
Mm.
transport you, etc. Now
Mm-hmm.
they're using it as to carry short a small amount of load for people delivery. They're using it. I mean, they've everyone has individualized it. Some people have boombox. Some people have disco lighting. Some people have like the sides for rain and things that they
Oh,
build. Like
nice.
they are, it's getting more
You see the
individualized.
innovation and the
The
creativity.
innovation and the
Yeah.
creativity, exactly. Or even what we call the Okada, which is the
Mm.
motorcycle.
Okay, tell me you wrote that. Did you write that?
So I was an obedient wife. I decided to be an obedient wife this time around. Usually I would jump on that.
Okay.
No thought at all. No thought, without any thought of risk or whatsoever. And when I was told by my husband, please do not get on any of that. I want you back in one piece. And I decided to listen. So I did.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. She listened. That is the one thing I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I don't know. That yeah, that would be a
But
fun.
you
That I
get
have to be
you
like I'd have to be like super adventurous to do that. But
but
I've
you
never
get where
liked
you're going
motorbikes
very,
anyway.
very fast. You can get where you're
Mm-mm.
going, but
No,
no,
I'll
it
work.
can be dangerous depending on, because
Yeah.
now some of them are the ones that are they 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 take drugs and so on. So you don't know
Mm.
which one you're getting, right? But
Mm-hmm.
but the thing was, when it rains, now they have this built-in canopy. It's like,
Okay.
oh my goodness, this is so cute. They have a
So
built.
you're one of those that stood on the sidewalks and just like grinning from ear to ear and just mesmerized with oh my gosh, this creativity.
Yeah, it's the innovation, exactly.
Yes, that is
I
really
think
nice.
the last thing is no matter what though, you can still see the gap
Mm-hmm.
between the haves and the haves nots.
Mm.
Even the
Yeah, it's
ones that
everywhere though. But
yeah, exactly.
mm-hmm.
It is. But when you compare, at the
Mm.
end of the day, you're like, so I will go to the market if I want to buy something, like, oh my goodness, this is expensive. But then when I do the
Oh,
calculation
the
in
math.
dollars, the
Mm.
math in dollars, you'd be like, this is actually nothing.
Yeah.
But on that side, it's actually
Mm-hmm.
quite
It's a lot.
expensive. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
And
So
compared how much the economy or how much people are making or what's
exactly.
there, it's really a big difference. So
Mhm.
as we're rounding up, I know you thought it was going to be harder than this, but I think
Yeah,
I've
actually I did.
satisfied some of my curiosity here. Um,
Come on, hit me, man.
so
Hit me. Hit me. Hit me.
so if so I know we always like when you're in parties or whatever, things like that, you get the thing about people think it's worse, especially us on this side, than how it is back when you actually there. How will you say that? Is your thinking about home or how people are living or get able to survive, was it worse that what you saw, or was it comparable?
I think, funnily, it's both, because when we're here and we're sending money, and you're like, and you feel so bad and you send the money, but then you realize that that one person might be getting money from five different people, and they
Mm,
end up still having something. It's not as bad as you think. But then when you are there, even if they do, but the
it's
struggle
still.
is still real, because the
Mm,
living expenses, and access to things, at the end of the day, you're like, it's still, I mean,
hard.
people are surviving, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
hard. It's like, how do you think ahead? How do you even
Mm,
plan a future? How do you plan? How do you keep saying, oh, I want to do this? And how do you become ambitious?
mm,
There was one guy, keke driver,
mm,
and I was coming somewhere. I took it everywhere. I wasn't necessarily in a car all the time with
mm-hmm.
AC. I was enjoying, quote unquote, keke breeze. And this guy was like, if I'm 40 and I'm not rich, say, may God take me life. And
Oh,
we're in
wow.
the car, in the thing, and we're like, come
Did
on.
you ask like how old are you now, so we know if you're close to
I
40?
No,
I'm
we
just
didn't
kidding.
ask, actually. We actually didn't ask, but he looks quite young. I think he was in his
Mm,
20s. And he
okay.
kept repeating this. If me tell I reach 40, I no get money. Make God take me life. And he was so
No.
adamant. But there's two things. Most people now want to get rich everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
without they want it now. And it was
Yeah.
the thing about, we want it now. They we talked about it. They
Yeah.
also have that. Even
Mm.
through the struggle, they want to make it. They want to do it now, and they will do
So
whatever it
dreams does not
takes.
have a location.
Thank you. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But then you do have the struggle where someone might
Mm.
be doing all they can, all their very best.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, we did ask him, myself and another passenger. We're like, well, if you do go, are you sure you're gonna go rest? He's like, yeah, I know, I'm gonna go rest. Do you know where you're going? He's like, yeah, I'll go rest. Like, well, when you get there,
Oh.
you might ask God, like, can I come back? But
So, if going home was a metaphor for life, what will it be teaching you or teaching us, right, listeners, their plum woman, about purpose and peace? Like, what will it teach us if going home was a metaphor for life?
I think it
Thinking
should.
about, yeah, if it was, or it is, right?
I
Going
think
home
it
is a
should
metaphor
be.
for life. What does it teach us about purpose and peace?
Um, I think we talk about it all the time, reflection. Even
Hmm.
when we're here, we reflect on things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, but when you go home, or go to places where it's I hate that word, but a developing, a more less advantage, a disadvantaged country or nation, for
Mm,
whatever reason, it brings you back to a place of reality.
mm,
Reality that, one, you better thank God where you are. You have the
okay.
opportunity. Two, your purpose could change,
Mm,
because you see things that you're like, I want to do something different.
mm,
Or it can be redefined.
mm,
But I think at the end of the day, it's just, you get back to that gratitude, that place of gratitude. But don't be fooled. Your place of gratitude, I think what we all most times end up doing is, okay, you've gone, you had the experience, you come back home, you're like, I'm so grateful, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm not gonna stress, or blah blah blah. But as human
mhm.
beings, by the time you get to month 3, month 4, you're back
Yeah.
in gear of what you used to do.
Mm.
And so, if we all could, then we should go every 6 months. to remind us.
Yeah. Of the things that you have, and the things that you should be grateful for. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing I like that you mentioned was the resilience of the people there, and or the resilience of home, the resilience
Mm-hmm.
of home. I think one thing that I would say, which I'm truly grateful for, and I tell my kids this, that I'm truly grateful for, is that we were taught. I don't think we were even taught. I think
We learned.
we learned resilience by
Mm-hmm.
default because of
Mm-hmm.
how things that, and again, life was, we did not live on trees, we lived in houses. I have to remind people that we lived in houses. It's just things are different, especially when you've seen it from a different lens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but we learned resilience, and I think that is one of the things that, as a woman living here, or as a woman in general, that has taken me places that I see other people that have not had that experience.
Right.
It is harder for them. So some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
I could be like, okay, this is hard, but it could be worse. Other
Mm-hmm.
people,
Mm-hmm.
that is devastating. And I think we've talked about it
Right.
in length on this
Mm-hmm.
podcast. So I'm glad you did bring that up, that yes, it's hard, but the people are resilient. And I think that is, if I take anything from this, I think it's one of the things that I will keep, that yes, resilience is a big thing if you look at it from the right lens.
Mm-hmm. They still
Yeah.
laugh, they still enjoy, they still
Yeah.
laugh. There's always a joy
Yeah.
in through it all.
Mhm.
I think that's the main thing. They still
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's no mental health or
Mhm.
depression and
Mhm.
suicide and all of these things that bring, all that. But I think generally speaking, people still laugh through it all
Yeah.
or through the
There's that
worst
simple
things.
joy. Yeah.
The
There's
simple
that simple
joy.
joy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you so to end this, I'll say I'll end it here. Um you talked about the thing that we think we normally want to keep. What would you say to a woman who's hesitant to revisit her past or her roots?
Just take the leap. Just go. You
Mhm.
will never, is with everything in life, you'll never know.
Mhm.
Sometimes people, there's the reason why they left, it wasn't a good reason,
Yeah.
right? They were
Mhm.
running from
Yeah.
something, it was a safety thing. And
Mhm.
if it's now safe for you to go back, then
Yeah.
just make that
Just
change.
do it.
That just do it. Well, yeah, pretty much just do it.
Yeah.
Because what all the things that you think could go wrong, or the anxiety and everything whilst you're here that's going through your
Mhm.
mind, you find that when you land, it's like, I didn't need to, I didn't
Yeah.
have to. Because
Yeah.
of that resilience, because of the joy of the little things, that the main things that are really in your mind that are stressing you out, at the end of the day, it'd be like, eh. Or you will hate it. I've had some people, friends, who they've gone and they
Mhm.
hated it, and they're like, I'm not going back.
But at least they found
But
out.
at least they've know. You
Yeah.
have to know. I think that's the
Yeah.
main thing.
Well, thank you, Lucia, for bringing me in on your journey. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners will enjoy this beautiful conversation of going back home. Actually, I call it a mind bender, because it's you, this one person, having to bend yourself, but in a kind of a good way. Like, you see
True.
the two different parts of yourself. It doesn't change who you really are. You're still that person, but you
Hmm.
see the different part of you, of who you could have been, and appreciating what you had and what you have now, and still be able to be that core part of you still remains. So thank you so much for
True.
taking us on your journey, and we hope that mom and the rest of the family get to got to enjoy you and still keep those memories. So thank you
They
so
sure
much.
did. They
Yeah.
enjoyed way too much. We should make
And
we should make the cock crow at the end of
oh,
this. That was the other thing. I was like, "Yep, I'm home. I'm home." The cock
the
crowing at
cock
five
crowing.
a.m.
Oh my gosh. So to dear plum woman, thank you for allowing us to jog those little part, those memorable part of your roots. And maybe going home isn't about like returning, it's just visiting, but maybe it's also about recognizing that part of you that you thought was
Mhm.
lost,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
and it reminds you of the woman you were and also of the woman you've become. Like it shows who you really are.
Mhm.
And the woman who now walks forward with calm confidence, and you're carrying both, but it is beautiful. It makes you this beautiful aplomb woman. So we celebrate you today, but also remember you are God's favorite person. So just live like that. Yeah. So thank you.
Easy. Until next time.